try again. That's nice. That didn't happen. None of that happened. Everything's fine. And we get all things back. Hey, we get to proceed as nothing other. So clearly, Rayton is a magician too. That sleight of hand trick Mr. Rayton did during the recess earlier.
Filming is prohibited inside the courthouse. Do you want me to get the bailiff?
Huh? Filming? What are you talking about? I don't even have a camera on me.
What if Mr. Rayton is a magician too?
What if? I believe it's up to the defense to fill in the blanks, not me.
Well, if he is, he may have had some contact with Miss Wright somewhere along the way.
Your argument is hardly worth responding to. But by all means, please do continue.
Checkpoints are nice.
As a passage in the sacred scriptures of Krainism states, he who gives a sermon to a monkey is himself a monkey.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you say to a dimwit. He isn't gonna get it anyway.
But we saw Mr. Rayton perform a magic trick. He made his video camera disappear in the blink of an eye.
Well, I think it'd be pretty funny if I were a magician. You must have been seeing things. Want me to introduce you to a good eye doctor?
If a connection as tenuous as that is all it takes, then every magician in the country could potentially bear ill will toward the accused.
I guess you're right.
You're not the sharpest knife in the drawer, are you, short stuff?
You would do well to cleanse that putrid mind of yours in the holy water of Mount Pony. 3 days under a frigid waterfall, and even you should rise to the level of a monkey.
A numbskull for a numbskull.
Well, this numbskull has thick skin, so there.
I think I get what they're driving at. Even if he is a magician, it's not exactly a reason to bear a grudge against Trucy, is it?
Hold on. I can think of one person, one magician who has a reason to bear a grudge against Trucy. Or rather, one magician who has a reason to bear a grudge against Troop Grammary.
Oh?
No way!
Is something wrong, Mr. Justice?
Your Honor, the defense wishes to submit evidence at this time.
I see. And what sort of evidence do you have for us?
Evidence that points to the real killer, the one who had a motive to commit this crime.
What?
And what have you come up with this time, defense?
Trucy Wright is the sole heir to Troop Grammary and its name. This puts her square in the crosshairs of one particular magician. And this piece of evidence points to that one person with a grudge against Miss Wright. I think it is this. We're gonna bring out the picture of Troop Grammary so that we can prove once and for all that Roger Rayton is actually Valant Grammary. No, I don't think he's Valant.
And who exactly are you naming, Mr. Justice?
13 years ago, the great Mysterious belonged to Troop Grammary. But then the troop ousted him, and Mysterious vowed to get revenge on them someday. And what better way to accomplish that than through the ruination of their sole heir?
But Mysterious is the victim, Mr. Justice. You've named a dead man as your suspect.
But is he really dead?
What do you mean? Is he really dead?
If the fact that Mysterious is the victim is what's throwing you off, then how about we consider this possibility? What if the man who died on that stage yesterday wasn't Mysterious? We just kill some random guy?
What? You mean the victim was an imposter?
No, not Mr. Reus. Then what about the real Mr. Reus?
It wouldn't mean the real Mr. Reus is still alive.
That's absurd.
How much are we bluffing here?
Mr. Justice, who is the real Mr. Reus if not the victim of this case?
Is Roger Rayton's mysterious? I mean, he's mysterious, but it's all coming together now. I finally see the gimmick, the trick to this entire case. This should explain everything, Your Honor. The real killer, the one who hated Troop Gramarye and wanted to sully its name. The magician lurking in the shadows, who set up a fake Mr. Reus in his stead. The real Mr. Reus is Trucy Wright, Phoenix Wright. I think it's gotta be Roger Rayton's. That's the only one that makes sense out of this list.
But that's...
Yes, yes it is. Roger Rayton's is the real Mr. Reus.
What?
No.
O hollow red pepper, your impotent seed sprout not but meaningless empty words. You can't possibly have proof to support such an outlandish theory.
It's not a bad idea for a soap opera, but not even die-hard fans of the genre would stick around past the pilot.
You want proof? Well, I've got proof. I can prove it by roll down your sleeves. Oh. He doesn't have a scar. He doesn't have a scar in this photo. Proving that Mr. Reus yesterday's magic show was a fake. And to do that, I just need you to look at this spot on his poster. Whoever that was doesn't have huge scars on his arm. This is the injury Mr. Reus sustained while practicing a magic trick 13 years ago. However, the video the victim shot of himself shows no trace of that injury.
Oh my, you're absolutely right.
Now, Mr. Raytons, what do you suppose we'd find if we took a look at your right forearm? Is there by any chance a nasty 13-year-old scar under that sleeve of yours? Well, Mr. Raytons, why don't you roll up your sleeve and let the court have a look? Or are you hiding something else up there besides a deck of cards?
Come on now, I have nothing up my sleeve. I don't need to hide anything up there, because I require no tricks or gimmicks. For you see, my magic is the real deal. Is this what you were hoping to see? Oh, there it is! The scar!
I don't always pretend to be a magician, but when I do, it's Dos Equis. Just as I thought!
That's right. I am the forgotten magician, abandoned to the dark understage of history. The great mysterious!
Whoa!
This...
It's totally
absurd!
Ho, how ironic, wouldn't you say, that this odious mark carved into me by Troop Gramarye would bring me back into the limelight once more.
Strange are the karmic threads before me. If the witness is the real Mysterious, then who is the victim who perished in the magic show?
He was but a fan. I met him on one of my programs several years ago. He said he had become a magician out of admiration for the great Mysterious. In confidence, I told him my true identity and let him take on my mantle.
And when did this man take over for you?
About 2 years ago, I taught him my tricks and even acted as his producer. And so a mere amateur became a popular magician overnight. Courtesy of my magic on the stage we call television. Hope you enjoyed the show.
You really had us all fooled.
Mr. Radens, or should I say Mr. Reus, in your hatred of Troop Grammar, you killed the victim, Mr. Mystery, and then set up Miss Wright to take up the fall, didn't you? You did it all just to tarnish the Grammary name.
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about, lad. I said if the prank that much is true, but it was simply a harmless joke on Trucy, I assure you. Yet she learned of the plan and made use of it to commit murder. That is how strong the criminal element runs in the blood of these Grammaries.
But if it was a secret prank plan that very few people knew about, couldn't you have been the one to use it for murder instead? Gag! Yikes!
Eek!
His head!
Just kidding.
What the heck was that?
Heed my words, lawyer lad, for I fear your grasp on reality is slipping. I do believe I told you that my magic is real. It employs neither tricks nor gimmicks.
Enough with the ambiguity. Why don't you make your point already?
My alibi is as pristine as ever. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Sadmody?
Yes, I suppose that is correct. The witness does have a solid alibi.
What?
Recall, defense, that at the time of the magic show, Mr. Radens was at Take 2 TV. A fact that many people can easily attest to.
Gah! That's right. I forgot all about that.
Ho, ho, ho. So what do you think, Your Honor? Would you like me to testify on the matter?
Yes, I think you'd better. Please tell the court more about your alibi.
Very well then. On with the show. Are you watching, Magnifique Grammary? The time has finally come for my magic to snuff out your precious pedigree. The Grammary line will be no more.
My perfect alibi.
I was at the TV station at the time of the Penrose performance. I was busy working on another TV program, could spare no time for the magic show. Do ask my staff if you doubt my claim. And there it is, a simple and perfect alibi. No tricks, no gimmicks, just the truth. Do you understand now, perhaps? I did not grace the theater with my presence until after the incident. So how could I have committed the murder?
His staff did say he was there at the station, so it sure does sound like a rock-solid alibi.
But that can't be right. If Mr. Radens is the killer, he'd have to have been at the theater.
There's gotta be a hole somewhere in this story.
I assure you there are no holes on Mr. Reus's stage. No tricks, no gimmicks. True magic doesn't need trapdoors to escape through. Do enjoy my show to the fullest. And my real alibi.
But where did the lighter fluid come from? Yeah, the money fan was kind of a tell where he was doing card tricks with money, like straight out of the bat.
I was at the TV station at the time of the Penrose performance.
Let's just press it, see what he talks about. But you did come to the theater eventually, isn't that right?
Indeed. Anxious to see how the show was progressing, I made my way to the theater. Let's see, my journey took about 10 minutes by car.
Could he actually have been at the theater during those 10 minutes, killing the victim?
Ho ho ho. Allow me a stab at reading your mind. Aha. Could I have been at the theater during those 10 minutes killing the victim?
How in the...
But no, I took a taxi. The driver can attest to that. Feel free to call the taxi company if my word does not satisfy you. The driver's a big fan of the ratings, Raja. I even gave him my card.
He gave the driver his card? That was very clever of him.
You might as well give it up, lad. Questioning real magic is a fool's errand.
Unless he sent somebody else to just go and give a driver his card. But that's really hard for us to prove.
Besides, you know very well what I was doing at the time of the incident. I was busy working on another TV program. I could spare no time for the magic show.
Hold it! What was this other TV show you were working on?
My own special project, you see. One moment, perhaps this is more appropriate. It's a Ratings Raja special production. Yeah, hang loose, baby! It's called The Desperation Regeneration.
He switched personas just to say that? What's the show about?
Washed-up has-been singers and comedians get together and play musical chairs. The winner of the game's given a second chance at their career. Priceless prize for chumps who washed up too early in life. Sounds great, right? Yeah, all right.
Might I suggest you appear on that show, Mr. Justice? As the ex-lawyer who used to make ridiculous bluffs in court and faded sadly into obscurity.
And let the Ratings Raja produce my TV debut? Not in this lifetime.
Great reactions. Who knows? TV might be your true calling.
Hey! Whose side are you on?
In any case, I was overseeing production of this program during this Penrose performance. Do ask my staff if you doubt my claim.
Your staff who don't really pay attention and don't look away from things? How do you know those staff members aren't in cahoots with you?
I make it my business to perform solo. My magic has neither need nor want of assistance. After all, one of them could reveal the secrets behind my magic, could they not?
So, he doesn't trust anybody, huh? He's the complete opposite of Trucy.
There were many people there in the studio audience who saw the witness as well. Even if he had been able to persuade his own staff to cover for him, he could not have convinced so many complete strangers to do the same.
He really has made a rock-solid alibi for himself. Yeah, it's almost too good, you know? It's eerie how perfect it is.
It's all been revealed to you now. And there it is, a simple and perfect alibi. No tricks, no gimmicks, just the truth.
Hold it! I've got it. Do you have a brother? A brother that looks exactly like you, maybe? We just did that, didn't we? Just did that.
Again with the twins business? You think the audience will let you get away with using the same gimmick twice in a row?
If you do not believe him, Defense, why not investigate for yourself? Though I am sure your efforts will prove to be thoroughly fruitless.
Yeah, I guess the twins theory is a little far-fetched. His alibi really is airtight.
I believe we've heard enough. While I believe the witness does indeed harbor some ill will against the defendant, there is no reason to doubt that he was at the TV station at the time of the incident.
Yes, the facts prove it was impossible for the witness to have been involved with this crime.
Ugh.
These last rites for the victim have dragged on long enough. The soul of the victim himself is so bored that it is resting on top of your honor's head.
It is? It's on my head?
The time has come. Let us punish the sinner and guide the victim's soul to the Twilight Realm.
Apollo, Trusy will be thrown in prison and we'll be out of a job. But if you catch tasty fishies, will you sell me some at a good price?
I told you, I have absolutely zero intention of going off on a tuna boat. Thank Justice. You had to figure this out. It's no use. I can't find a single flaw, so what now?
Oh, ho, ho, behold my never-ending magic show! Come for the awe-inspiring showmanship of the great Mysterious, and stay for my grand illusion until the end of time. Ha 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 ha!
Wait, is he saying that we're still trapped inside some sort of illusion of his?
That's what professional magicians do. They make their audience see something that isn't really there.
In other words, you make us see illusions, right?
We call it misdirection. While we keep you busy believing one thing, we're busy making something else happen. What we say is there really isn't, and what we say isn't there actually is.
Could it be? You know what, Mr. Rettens? Mr. Ratens? I guess we have all been spectators to the elaborate illusion you've prepared for us. An illusion that has subtly turned our attention towards something you wanted us to see.
What are you going on about, lad?
Have you got something, Apollo?
I just remembered something Trusy said about misdirection. What a magician says is there really isn't, and what they say isn't there actually is. If we've all been taken for a ride by Mr. Rayton's magic, then maybe he's made us see something that wasn't really there. It's time to rethink all of my assumptions about this case. It's time for me to pick up the world's most powerful laser gun and blast it through the middle of my head. What have we been made to believe was there when it actually wasn't? What have we taken to be the absolute facts of this case? If I reevaluate the validity of all of these things, then just maybe Athena, there's something uncanny about this case.
Okay, what is it?
Rayton's alibi. It's too perfect.
That's true. It's like it's impossible to break, no matter how hard we try.
But maybe that's the trick. Maybe that's exactly what he wants us to think.
I'm not following.
We're not making any headway here because we've been so focused on breaking his alibi.
Oh, I think I get it. You're saying he's using misdirection on us, right?
It's definitely a possibility.
Would the defense care to share with everyone what it's discussing over there?
Your Honor, we believe that if we were to reconsider a certain assumption, we may finally arrive at the truth. In fact, I think we'll even finally see who's hiding behind the curtain, so to speak.
And what is this certain assumption you're thinking of?
This is the one key assumption we've been taking for granted this whole time. Roger Rayton's guilt, the culprit was on scene, the crime scene. Is it just the crime scene? Was he just killed somewhere else? We know he's guilty. Or at least we don't want to say that he's not guilty. The culprit was not on scene because his alibi says that he wasn't. But what if he was killed somewhere else? The actual scene of the crime wasn't the theater, but the TV station. If Mr. Rayton's brought the victim's body to the theater after the fact... Oh, no?
Foolish lawyer. Were that true, then what about the body you witnessed during the show?
Don't you know it's rude to ask how a trick is done, Prosecutor Sadmadi?
And don't you know it's rude to make far-fetched claims, Mr. Justice?
Oh. Not that one. I'll brush up on Courtroom Manners 101, again, just for you, Your Honor. Alright, so the murder could have really only taken place at the theater, which means this is the one assumption: the culprit was on scene? Or did just somebody else do it? Is his guilt? Roger Ratens isn't the culprit after all.
So you finally came to your senses. As thanks, let me reduce your agency's debt by $100.
We deserve a bigger reduction than that, buddy. It's not that either.
I hope you're not implying that you'll retract your accusation in exchange for a reduction.
No, of course not. Okay, I was right that it wasn't that.
Well, you certainly haven't given me any reason to reduce your penalty.
It was worth seeing. Just a reason to up my micromart count for today. Micromort. Okay. The culprit being on scene. What if the culprit was somewhere other than the theater at the time of the crime? What if there was some way to commit the murder without actually being there? If that were the case, then Mr. Retten's perfect alibi would become irrelevant.
Objection.
How could one person stab another to death with a sword without physically being there, huh? Furthermore, we all saw what appears to be the culprit's shadow in the footage.
Does this have something to do with Mr. Hat? Was Mr. Hat guilty all along? Mr. Hat, I knew it! Never should have trusted you. But could we just easily assume that the shadow does not belong to the culprit?
Well, if it's not the culprit's, then whose is it?
I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm on the right track. It's not laser brain time yet. Get Nancy for laser brain. We've all seen something that looks like this shadowy shape before, Your Honor, during the magic show itself.
In that case, please point it out in the show footage for us.
This is the thing that looks suspiciously similar to the shadowy figure of the culprit. Do we just point at Mr. Hat at any point? Let's just present Mr. Hat.
Take that!
Mr. Justice, how does that even remotely resemble this shadowy figure?
I thought it looked pretty similar. Do you not think so? No?
Not in the slightest.
Huh? That's funny. It looked pretty shady to me.
And your logic is even shadier.
Oh no! Come on! It's not Mr. Hat? Maybe I should try slowing the video down and taking a better look. Am I supposed to just get the shadow?
Take that!
Oh, I guess it's just a different time. Oh, the shadow happened at a different point in the footage as well? Doesn't the shadow resemble the suspicious shadowy figure?
Now that you mention it, it does, doesn't it?
I'm comparing shadows to shadows. I thought this was the shadow we were looking at, but it's a different shadow. Okay, I understand now. Miss Wright, could you identify this shadow for the court?
Let's see. I believe that's Mr. Hat's shadow. It's from when he's being pulled up from the stage to the catwalk, overhead by wire.
Then could this shadow that's shown later in the footage be Mr. Hat too?
No, that's not possible. After Mr. Hat was pulled up to the catwalk, he stayed up there.
In other words, this second shadow is from some other figure being pulled up.
Some other figure? I'm afraid you'll need to be more specific than that, Mr. Justice.
He's right. We've come this far. I'll just have to figure it out from the clues I have on hand.
What is the second shadow shown in the footage?
I don't know. Is it the sword? Did they just drag the body up? And then it got stabbed up there and then they just dropped it back down?
Take that!
This is probably wrong. If we consider what was happening on the stage at the time, there's only one answer. The shadow belonged to the fake Mr. Reus. In other words, Mr. Manov Mystery.
The victim.
Please take a look at the prank plan script. Mr. Mystery was to pretend to be dead and then fly up into the air after that, and he was wearing a harness, which is how they lifted him into Mr. Hat and then dropped him back down. Isn't that right, Mr. Rittens?
Indeed. And what of it?
I contend that that's exactly what happened. The victim was wearing a stunt harness around his waist. It was most likely attached to a stunt wire so that he could be pulled up into the air.
So you're suggesting that after pretending to be dead in the coffin, the victim flew up into the air just as the prank script says?
Exactly. We just couldn't see him go flying up because the dragon was blocking our view. And that last trick, ladies and gentlemen, is the true piece de resistance of the culprit's murderous magic show.
Don't tell me. You've got it all figured out?
Yes, I think so. If we can just look beyond Mr. Rayton's last bit of misdirection, we should finally be able to see the real truth. The victim must have been pulled up to the catwalk, just like Mr. Hat, and hit the cushioning up there with considerable force. I just have to figure out what else happened up there at the time.
Are you ready to elaborate, Mr. Justice?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm ready.
In that case, please answer me this. Why did the culprit make the victim fly up into the air like that?
To murder him. Just why did the culprit have the victim fly up after he appeared in the coffin? And how did the victim actually die when he was only pretending to be dead in the coffin? If we can figure out how these two questions relate, the answer should become clear. And that's why he was... I'm not actually sure why he was hiding one way and then fell down the other, but... Okay.
Could it be?
Mr. Mystery must have thought he was still part of a prank when he appeared on stage. He probably didn't suspect a thing as he was being pulled into the air after Miss Wright was called backstage and just as the set piece fell. But the culprit had already planted the real murder weapon in a cushion in the catwalk. It was probably a knife or blade of some sort.
What? You mean...
Yes, it really was a magical murder. Just as the prank script said, Mr. Mystery was whisked up into the air and straight into a blade there in the catwalk. In other words, this murder was committed remotely through the use of a magic trick.
What?
Remotely?
Using this method, it wouldn't matter where Mr. Raytons was at the time of death. Nah. I bet that head trick must look really silly to everybody in the gallery for him to be like...
But how exactly does it work, Mr. Justice?
Just before the murder occurred, the dragon set piece was up in the catwalk. It and Mr. Manov Mystery were connected to each other by a wire at the time. By carrying out the prank plan, Betty made the dragon set piece fall, which caused Mr. Mystery to rocket straight up and into the blade in the cushion. The cushion was high up enough to be hidden from the audience's view. That's why nobody saw the blade.
Oh, then that big gash in Mr. Hat's cape.
The blade must have been set up overhead sometime before the magic show. Mr. Hat must have been slashed by it too when he was pulled up to the cushion.
I can't believe it. I had no idea. I was told that Juicy would freak out if I made the set piece fall. That's the only reason I did it.
You were used, Betty. Roger Rayton's used you. Or you're lying and getting away scot-free.
I thought he was my little puppet to boss around, but it was the other way around.
After the incident occurred, Mr. Raytons arrived at the theater. He got the murder weapon and swapped the rubber sword with the bloodied steel one. That's also when he lowered the victim's body down to the stage.
But how did he have time to do all that? When the set piece fell, the audience was evacuated from the building.
He was able to do all those things after the fact because there was no one around to see.
A horrific murder, camouflaged by a spectacular magic show. That sounds like the kind of murder only a magician could pull off.
As long as the show proceeded as it was scripted, Mr. Mystery was doomed to die. That's why it was you, Mr. Reddens, who killed the victim, all the way from the TV station. This prank plan, or should I say murder plan, proves your murderous intent.
Gramarye!